So good afternoon. Thank you for being here. As I'm sure you can all appreciate, this has been a difficult situation for parents, students, and staff, as well as our community. Yesterday's arrests came as a result of perseverance and commitment to putting an end to the threats involving Hammarskjold High School. The anonymous threats against Hammarskjold have been extremely unsettling and disruptive to the school. In all instances, the Thunder Bay Police Service has responded with an abundance of caution, with student and staff safety being always our #1 priority. We have treated every threat as real until an assessment was made and responded to the threats accordingly. I think you can appreciate that this investigation has been challenging, and this has been a top priority for our service. I'd like to thank all of our members for their outstanding efforts and their continued work on this matter. I'd also like to thank our partner agencies for their investigative support throughout. A concerning aspect of these incidents was the continued abuse of Crime Stoppers program by the accused persons. As you know, Crime Stoppers offers the public an opportunity to help police with valuable information while protecting the identity of the tipster. That identity protection should not apply to individuals who are committing a crime by providing false and potentially dangerous information. I would like to now invite Inspector Hughes. He will provide you with further information regarding the investigation itself and the recent arrests.
I finally get to speak with some good news. We made 2 arrests yesterday regarding the ongoing threats. One was Emily Pakarash, who's 18 years old, who was a Hammarskjold student, and the other was a 14-year-old Hammarskjold student. Both had bail court this afternoon, and were released on bail. They were released with strict conditions. The Crown's office is treating this very seriously. And now to give you some background, over the last several months, this investigation has been extremely frustrating for officers, school students, staff members of the schools, and the community, including the surrounding schools from the public and the Catholic Board that would go into hold and secures. The tips were coming through Crime Stoppers. Officers were having a difficult time gathering information. A lot of warrants were written to get information. Our cybercrime unit became involved, and over the last several weeks we were tracking a specific computer device. We knew what the device was, we just didn't know whose name it was connected to. We couldn't let the public know this because we were tracking a person of interest, or a device of interest, and not until yesterday were we able to connect the device to one person. And then, one person was in custody, another Crime Stoppers tip came in, and we were able to connect the second device to our 14-year-old. The officers have worked extremely hard. We've had our CIB officers involved, our cybercrime officers involved, and we've had surveillance teams working on this for the last several weeks. We've had minor assistance with the OPP with surveillance regarding some of the people of interest we've had. But I am very proud of our CIB officers, cybercrime officers, and every officer that was involved with all of these threats. We've had over 200 uniform officers that have responded to the threats throughout the last several months, which is an enormous amount of staffing resources, which draws away from other needs.
Welcome to everybody. Thank you for being here this afternoon. I want to just say a few thank yous and then one comment at the end. First of all, to the Chief and the Thunder Bay Police Service, I want to thank them very much for their diligence and effort. The amount of people and resource that were invested into this investigation from the very beginning was extremely significant, as you've just heard. It's been frustrating for all of them. I've been party to some of the frustration. But just simply to say thank you to them for their diligence. There was never a moment where they were not trying to work and get this resolved as quickly as they could have. I want to also say thank you to the staff and the faculty, to the parents and the students of Hammarskjold High School. I can only imagine what a trying time this would have been for them, waking up every morning not knowing if you're going to be able to go to school or if you're safe to go to school, and all of the other impacts that this would have had on those families if this would have dragged on much farther. So to them, I want to thank them for their patience. The school council chair, that parent council group who I know who was busy, to the trustees and the chair, thank you. I'm sure you have spent a lot of time as well being involved in this particular issue. To Ian, thank you, Ian, for your work, and with the trustees and the staff as well for everything that you've tried to do. I also want to say on behalf of the corporation, as mayor and as a member of the Police Services Board, I want to thank the community generally, at large, and the media as well, for their patience with me as mayor and as a member of Police Services Board. There's been a couple of opportunities or times where they wanted to ask me to comment on this, and I have just graciously asked them if they would mind if I did not. This was obviously an ongoing investigation. I did not want to say anything or make a mistake or do anything or say anything that might have prejudiced this investigation in any way, shape, or form. So I just want to say thank you to the media and to the community at large. There was a reason why, obviously, as a mayor and as a member of the Police Services Board, that I wasn't commenting on this. And so you now understand fully, if you didn't already, what was going on and why we weren't commenting. So I want to simply thank you for that, but to let you know also that through the process, the chief was in constant communication with me as the mayor and as a member of the Police Services Board. So we fully understood everything that they could do was being done.
Obviously, to Chief Hoth and Inspector Hughes, they've been absolutely wonderful throughout this process. It has been frustrating, and it has been challenging, as was indicated. We have been particularly pleased with the support that we've received on a daily basis from Thunder Bay Police Services. Their officers have consistently acted at the highest level of professionalism in dealing with what sometimes can be a challenging environment in a secondary school of 900 students. But to a person, they rose to the task and did a wonderful job, and I want to thank you for that. Certainly yesterday was a very pleasing day for us, and you could tell this morning at Hammarskjold, I wouldn't say it was back to a total degree of normalcy, but certainly kids and staff were acting in a way that is befitting of a secondary school in its normal fashion. And I think it would be a mistake for anyone to underestimate the resiliency of our young people. They truly are amazing and wonderful, and they will bounce back from this. And by Tuesday, I'm hoping Hammarskjold will be back to a fully functioning secondary school. That said, certainly I'd also like to thank my colleague from the Coterminous Board, Director Tassoni, for his ongoing support as we've had to lock down, hold and secure, and shelter in place in a number of our facilities over the last number of weeks, and he's done the same. It's really a pleasure to work with our Coterminous Board on any types of initiatives, including one that's as unsavory as this one. I don't think you have to look too far afield to note the sincerity and the compassion that we feel for our students. There will never be a time when we will compromise our belief that safety is our number one role in providing students with an environment that they feel comfortable in. We will continue to act in their best interests, and I think every decision we made through this process was certainly with the advice of Thunder Bay Police, but also with the intent of protecting students, staff, and our school community. To Principal de Blasio from Hammarskjold and his staff, thank you. Your commitment to your students was exemplary throughout the process, and I know they appreciated that, and we certainly appreciated that. To our group of trustees who stood behind us at every turn, thank you for your understanding and your patience when the frustration we all know was growing in the community, no more so than ours. So the resolution yesterday, I think, was a very welcome one, and we're very pleased. Particularly in the aftermath. I believe it's the 20th anniversary of Columbine. What we did, I believe, was sometimes unpopular, but for the most part, I think well received by our parent community in protecting the interests of their children. So thank you to everyone who contributed.
I'll just add a quick comment, just so that there's no panic. It was noted that there were officers at the school, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, at the school this morning, and there will also be officers at the school still next week. So I don't want anybody to see cruisers and assume the worst. This is really just to get back into a transition phase, make sure that students and staff feel secure, that things are kind of slowly getting back to normal, and we're doing this preemptively, just to be there and ensure that we're back on track. So please don't read into anything. It's just a matter of precaution and just kind of moving forward with next steps.